Next shot is a zoom in on the bridge. And here we get a real sense of scale because you can see right through the window. And yeah, it doesn't look like a big ship really when you look at it like this.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I wish they gave us, because we know that even though it doesn't seem like it, the Enterprise 1701 bridge is the exact same size as the Enterprise 1701D bridge. It's just differently proportioned, and boy does that.
Yeah.
But it is. And actually, I've been on 2 different Enterprise D bridges, and it's not big. It is. They really did a good job making it feel big. It's not. We've also been on the Enterprise 1701 bridge as well. Actually, it feels bigger than I thought it did on the screen potentially sometimes.
Yeah, the 1701 bridge does feel bigger when you're in person. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I think too, as you said, the 1701D. I've never been on one, but I think it would feel smaller. It's just the way the consoles are laid out and stuff, but it's the exact same size for bridge space.
Which is pretty amazing. But this one does, I mean, the fact that the Lorca has at least like 2 or 3 steps or 4 or 5 steps any direction before he hits anything. It's definitely a bigger bridge.
Well, it is called disco. It's a dance floor, so...
that is its main reason. Now we see there is I believe a hallway behind the bridge. Like we do see a corridor.
Mm-hmm. I think that leads straight back to the neck, because the neck butts right up there. Because you can see it in this picture, just behind the dome a little bit.
But I'm linking in because we can see windows either side of the bridge. Now, those aren't bridge windows, obviously. So you think there's like a corridor around the bridge?
Yeah, there usually is with all bridges. That's like the service
captain's quarters is probably like on the other, because they've got these big pylons. So presumably those two are like maybe like office space. The 2 to the other side are Lorca's quarters, and the other 2 are a janitor's closet with lots of sanitizer and...
Well, I think those 2 windows to the right of the view screen there are probably the toilet. You know, you go around the bridge to the bathroom, because that's where it is usually on the bridges. And we know his ready room is right behind.
Yeah.
It's on the back of that dome.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then obviously we see the deck below it, which is already in the saucer. So we can get the impression that the saucer probably is like 5 decks, maybe 4 decks. I mean, the obviously this dome is. I mean, the internal bit is 5 decks, maybe 6, but it's obviously a lot thicker. It's at least 2 decks above, or 2 decks either side more.
Yeah.
But I wish it just gave us a scale, because then I could make renders, animations, work out how big it is, give us a good sense of context. Because it's again, the surface area isn't huge. It's the nacelles that make it uber long, obviously.
Yeah. We'll go to the next picture, and we can see a little bit better, because you can see here that the neck does butt right up with the back of the bridge, so that's where that corridor is coming from. You got an upper part there, which is just the top of the dome. Nothing important, but you got at least 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 or 6 decks in that middle ring section, I would think. And we know that these outward-facing windows along the top are either the party rooms or Ash's quarters, because of the way the windows are shaped.
Yeah. I love your idea with the inner ring connecting points, that you say it's 2 decks. It's really tricky to see in this, but if you think 3-dimensionally, there's 2 lights either side of the hallway, and the way it's laid out, it could be a window above and then a window to the side, and so it's 2 decks, which would make sense. You'd need kind of 2 decks, and you can do they're not that big a walkway, so having 2 would be very make sense. How do you feel if there's only 1 deck, or one very small corridor?
I wouldn't be bothered by it too much, but I think it's better to have like at least 2 decks there through those things.
But clearly no turbolift. You got to walk between the... Well, no, to be fair though, you could just turbolift through the neck.
Yes, and I think, didn't we look at this when we saw Tilly and Burnham running through it? There are spaces on each side, which are probably sufficient to have a turbolift zip through.
Again, this shot is very deceptive. It's true, this one. But like I say, I mean, they do say specifically, turbolift direct. So turbolift can go quite fast. I mean, if you want to get from inner ring to outer ring, just go on the neck. When the neck reaches everything, and the neck's pretty damn big, and you can probably fit several turbolift shafts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it shouldn't really be a problem, should it?
No,
But the other,
no.
you know, one's the highway, one's the meandering streets inside of the town. You know, just have a brisk walk through then you can, you know, look out and see the stars below you and above you, and then, you know, or in someone's window and be a peeping Tom, or just, you know, turbolift. Easy. And we get a good shot of the phaser not ball turrets. They are phaser emitters, I think it's fair to say. They're kind of like I guess a step between. They're not the familiar ball turrets, but they're always active and integrated in. Very sort of JJ-ish, but in between.
And if you go to the next shot, it's more of a close-up of that connecting hallway, and it does seem like it's 2 decks almost. It looks like the upper deck has like a skylight window, and then the bottom deck has the ones out to the side, which are kind of cantered in a little bit.
Which makes sense, yeah. I totally buy that.
Yeah.
And the way the light's pushing out of the hull on the left would imply 2 windows. Although, what a hell of a view. I mean, just having, you know, plexiglass, transparent steel, obviously, being the only bit between you and space, kind of like, ugh. Because you see the entire walkway is open, you know?
Yeah. Well, there'd be a door at each end of that, though, in case there's a hull break, it would seal, I'm sure.
It's just interesting. But that looks less turbolift spaceable. Like I said, use a neck would be fine.
Yeah, we don't have the people in relation. I'd have to get the still again, because you can see a person up in the upper window underneath the turrets there. Looks like there's a silhouette there.
Yeah.
Show you how small the people are. It's a possibility that there's enough room for a turbolift to fly through there.
It's true. Yeah, because if that walkway was literally the end of the room, I mean the end of the wall, sorry. And there's, I don't know. I mean, yeah. Whichever. But next picture 10, we can see the rotation part of the saucer and how there's there's an active space in between. That's how it zooms by. That's the functional part of it.
It's the clearing in the forest. That's how they go.
Yeah, and that is the neck. That's the neck that it's zooming by. Yeah, which then it's the diagram, as we said, it was and you pointed this out as it was happening in the episode. You were like, oh, it rotates, and we didn't report on it, and then someone else did, and it's like, well, yeah, obviously it does, because Stuart pointed it out, but we thought it was like, yeah, of course it rotates. I mean, we sort of see it. But
yeah.
Yeah.
And then in this last shot here, well, not the last shot, but
last full shot, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a very thin ship. And we've talked about this before. When they first released that shot of the saucer from the side with the person standing on it, we decided it was 2 decks thick and all this. This I get the same kind of vibe from. It doesn't seem like a big ship, a tall ship anyway. You can see the bridge. We know how big the bridge are. People are about the size of that window high. And I know the inner ring is thicker, so I still buy that it might be 5 or 6 decks. But the outer ring, as it tapers out to the edge there, you're looking at a deck, maybe 2 at the most, at the outer edge.
I'm fine with that. I mean, 1 deck at the edge works and just gets exponentially bigger.
Yeah.
I can see all the different windows and such. The one thing we've sort of missed out is, if you want to go back to, what's a good picture to show it off? Go back to picture, I guess 4. What do you think about the facades actually blue? I know we talked about, I guess even picture 1 would be good, but they were red in the intro tile sequence. We were kind of told internally it'd be red. Suddenly blue. And that's also something we had a problem with the JJ Verse films, because it was kind of turbines, you all said. But blue nacelle, blue facades now. It's like, is there a reason, do you think? Or is that just they wanted to look stylistically different? Or is that a subtle link, a subtle nod to saying, no, we're actually a Kelvin style esque production?
Well, again, we've talked about this before. I think it could just be different. They could have different modes, and we haven't really seen them needed to go to the red mode because they've never been really cruising at normal warp. And when we do, we see it from behind.
Yes.
And when we do, we see it from behind.
Yes.
So it could be that, depending on the operational situation of the ship, it could be blue, it could be off, or they could be red. That I would like to see if they change color. But as I mentioned too before, there have been other ships in Starfleet battles and stuff that do have blue bizarres. And experimental drives and things have that kind of thing as well in Starfleet battles and FASA. So I don't have a problem with them being blue. It looks nice. I love blue as far as a color for lights. See, but yeah, I would like to see the real red. I mean, the Gagarin, I believe it was the view from the top. It had red ones. And that view from the top looked very TOS because it looked like a white hull. But yeah, that was cool to see that tie-in, and that's an older ship, obviously. Is this new experimental technology that they're trying out? It didn't pan out. I don't know, but I don't have a problem with the blue. It would be cool if they changed color though, but for a purpose.
Yeah, I certainly miss the blue and red because that's a very definitive classic. Been there since since the NX-01 days. Timeline joke because it doesn't make any sense. And blue on blue, it takes something away from it for me. It's all the same thing. But I do. I mean, I like you. I would agree. They never use warp, and they really don't need to use warp when they have stamets, especially in the early days. So, like the deflector grid on the refit changes color as it has different drive outputs in the motion picture. I'm totally fine with it being super standby mode, like barely ticking over. We don't even need the hydrogen because the spore drive is all we need to fly the ship. So it's just like, don't need to waste the power on the Passards because we only warp once every blue moon. But to just turn them on, it's got instant turn on, and then you got enough power, you got enough fuel in the buffers to go, and then it just slowly powers back up to red. Would be my guess.
Yeah.
But then the last, and speaking of, I have actually seen and held the Eagle Moss version of the ship. Actually, pretty nice. Has some nice views if you actually hold it in 3D, but again, the cells are very, very long in reality when you hold it physically.
Yeah, they seem really long in this picture, and again, because of the way they're designed, they seem to canter inward, and I don't like that. They need to be pushed out a little bit. But this here has the class listed as unknown. We of course now know, and we've both known for like over a year that it's been the Crossfield class. Just can't say anything. But
it does a lot of damage for 10 inches.
Anyway,
so that means
but now we have a definitive size for the ship. It's 10 inches long. So now we know.
So what do you think though? Now you can see the clean views. No atmospheric effects, no big red nebulas, no blue things. But we know the color, we know the look, we know the plating, we know how. Well, to be fair, we can now roughly count the decks because we're getting a very clean side view. Now, certainly not every deck needs a window, but you would sort of assume. And by this, I would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 decks, perhaps. If everything's whatever, which is sort of on par, really. That's roughly what you'd want it to be. It's just very, very long, but it reiterates how thin the ship feels by having that taper. And
the Constitution's like 24 decks, so I do love the profile of the ship. It's very, very nice, and the fore and aft views are beautiful. Top view, I'm not really a fan of. I got to be honest. It's got the main elements. It's got the nacelles and the body and the saucer, but they're all out of proportion and wacky. So I'm not really a fan of that. But every other view, I love it. From the front in the last episode, facing off against the sarcophagus ship, that was a beautiful shot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think what would enhance this design no end would be that side view. But imagine Enterprise E style nacelles with a slight upward canter. Like even being long nacelles, that would really give it a sense of dimensionality and punch, and have the red Passards. But I think that would really bring the ship to something really solid.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, so I love how elegant the side view is. It's so integrated, and I do appreciate. I do think they refine the shapes nicely from the Alpha. The Alpha we like because it's very Enterprise D blocky and stock. Yeah. This one actually has it super sleek, and I'm glad they roughly kept that because I know in the renders that we did for the teaser trailer, we both love that side view because it was very like because you didn't see a side view in the trailer, so it's kind of like suddenly in 3D it looks really kind of cool. And I like how they did sort of change the angle into more of a delta shield rather than a Katinga style for the back, which was good. But yeah, I think we've got a lot of views. Let's go back to picture one as we tend to do, and sort of closing thoughts on, we've seen 9 hours ish of Discovery. 7 hours if you take out the credits, whatever. Has it lived up to its visual potential as a ship? Are you more sold on it? Are you less sold on it? Can you ignore the lack of prime? Do you think it fits in really well? Do you think it's an anomaly either way? It's experimental. I mean, now we're 9 in. We've seen most of the season by by a couple of episodes. Closing mid-season thoughts on this ship?
I do like the ship very much. I'm surprised we haven't learned more about it. They're very not forthcoming with their information on how things work.
It's not about the ship or the tech, which is weird, given that it's about the spore drive.
I know. I would just like some small explanations here and there. It would be nice. I do think it fits in the time, especially as an experimental newer craft built around a specific drive. I have no problem with that. But there are things that bother me about it. The fact we haven't learned a lot about it. The fact that we don't know a size yet. We do know a crew complement. It's like 137, I believe. The nacelles could use some tweaking, in my opinion. They're a little too long. But what we see on screen usually looks pretty good. Like I said, directly from the top, which we never see really. They do seem to canter in a little bit, and I don't like that. And they do seem a little long, but I'd like to see them shortened up a bit. Other than that, I think it's a fantastic ship. I liked it since the alpha version. I actually prefer the alpha version to this later one for sure. People are going to hate me for that, but I don't care because I love it. And Red Bizarre collectors might be nice more often because it's more of a TOS kind of feel.
And we see them in my Discovery intro. You know how easily it adds to the feel. You know.
Yeah. So yeah, those are my closing thoughts. Want to learn more about it eventually, either a tech manual or just some in-show dialogue,
or even just a side view MSD would be cool. Like a properly thought out one would be awesome.
Yeah. Have a guest or dignitary come on board and have somebody explaining how the spore drive kind of works, or have an admiral. You know, that'd be cool. I'd like to. You know, these rotational rings create this field, which perfect, done. Move on to the next scene. Just something. I just can't believe we're 9 episodes in, and I've learned like nothing about this ship.
Yeah, we know how the spore drive works in terms of science, but not in terms of engineering.
Yeah.
But the engineering is the fun bit, because you can invent the science, but engineering is back up as well. Yeah, my closing thoughts are, we all know it's misproportioned, and it's a ship that could easily be fixed to be fully prime, but that was never their intention. And so, as a unique one of the hero ships, it certainly works. And we're all talking about it. You know, Voyager had 2 small nacelles that move, and TNG had 2 small nacelles and a really weird saucer. Every ship has weird things. Even the E had very long nacelles, instead of very elongated saucers. So they've all got something. But it would be an easy fix. But again, I don't blame any of the design parts of the process, because it was by committee, and at the end of the day, the guy paying your check gets final say. So there is nothing you can do, even if artistically it's not quite right. But I want to know decks. I want to know how many decks. I want to see a side view. I want to know how long it is, and then I can start to really process and get a feel. I want to put next to a Sovereign. I want to, I want to see those sorts of prime comparisons, which I'm sure they try not to give us, because then it stays in its own merit. It stays in its own world more, which they want, because it's a fresh take. I think I'd love to see a truly prime version of it. You know, even the rotating rings. I mean, I'm so glad that we held out for form first function, and I really love your idea about the warp drive. And I think that would technically fix the problem. You know, and so I'm really excited about what that means. So I mean, it's a ship that mostly works. And again, I don't buy people that say don't use Ralph McQuarrie's. This is a wonderful reinvention of Ralph McQuarrie's concept. I mean, come on, this is a really cool looking reinvention of a basic thing, which is not the same as the other one. It is unique, it's original, it is its own thing. But it needs a few tweaks, things like maybe refine it 20%, and you can have a beautiful prime piece of tech. So hopefully one day someone will do that. I'd be excited to see it.
Yeah. Well, guys, there you have our thoughts on it. What do you guys think of the Discovery so far? Has it grown on you? Do you still hate it? What about it would you like to change? And maybe how do you think the tech works? I would love to hear your thoughts down below. And don't forget to like the video if you like Discovery, or if you don't like Discovery. If you just like our discussions, just click like. Love to hear your thoughts and get that extra boost for our channel. The likes really help out. And don't forget to subscribe as well so you don't miss anything.
Saying a boost to the channel, they could spore drive us into the future of
Yes,
views
they could.
by-
They could.
by jumping us
Yes.
with special drive, or support this channel directly with a one-time donation
With the thumb drive. Thumb drive. It's
or
thumb drive.
or a mouse. They could plug in a mouse and use that to click on Trekyards.com and click the donate button and give a little bit.
Yes.
So thank you for good work we do in talking about all things Trek and other franchises. Or a regular donation, a cup of coffee a month, every month makes a huge difference to what we do at Patreon/Trekyards. A lot of YouTubers use it to allow the channels to exist because YouTube is inconsistent with what they give us in terms of financial support, and we need a certain amount to keep going, and Patreon is that backbone. So if you can and you love what we do and you watch us daily, weekly, monthly, whatever, please give if you can.
That's right. And don't forget to click the social media links down below. It takes us to our Fleet Yards, Trek Yards, and various Trek Yards Facebook pages where there's great community and great discussions going on all the time. So anyway, guys, until next time, I'm Captain Foley.
I am Commander Kongs.
See ya.
Bye, guys.